Sai Ram, Namaste. We're with Gautamji once again, and we're discussing the life of Baba's Mahabhakta Anna Sahib Gavankar and some of his satsangs that he had shared, which are documented in this book, A Jewel of Sai Devotion. So, there is a very important pointer he shared, which Gautam I would like to discuss with you, which is not going to others with a fault-finding attitude.
Yes.
So, if we can discuss that.
Sure, I would love to discuss this topic. We have to look behind what is this motive of ours to find fault in others. Why does the ego love to find faults? Because it wants to feel superior. Now we forget one basic fact, Nick, which we all must understand this. Everyone has been given their conditioning, which is since childhood, how their parents treated them, the school they went to, the religion they were born into, the economic status of the family. All this creates conditioning. And a person's personality develops on the basis of this conditioning. The inherent nature, the conditioning, it shapes us and what we say and do. Now, all this was not in our control. Nobody's control. Nobody controlled their conditioning as a child. It was the environment and all these factors I just mentioned, which make me become what I become. So now, no individual, it is clearly seen, is deliberately creating a fault. It is happening by the divine will. We as an outsider find a fault. That means we are faulting God. We are questioning God's creation. We don't realize this, Nick, that just like another has faults, we have our own faults. So every time we see a fault in another, it should remind us, hey, you too may have faults, may not be the same, different conditioning, different nature, but it becomes a reminder. My Sufi guide in Kashmir, someone who is revered in the locality and people come to him for blessings, ailments, whatever it may be. He told me once that whoever steps in here, whoever, my first thought is, this person has far greater qualities than I have. Now a master, still reaching the highest levels, is still so humble that whoever comes in, this person has greater qualities than I have. So you see this shift from negativity, and we are on fault-finding missions. That ego loves that. Why not look at the positive? The more you focus on the positive, the more you will be positive. The more you will really admire God's creation. The minute you find a fault, which is your old conditioning still kicking in, immediately you'll look for the brighter points in the person's personality. And then you start honoring everyone the way God created them. Someone asked me this in my talk, oh, how can I be okay with a thief being a thief? I said, first, please understand, you have no idea what his circumstances were, whether his father was a thief. So who are you to judge? She said, oh. I said, no, it is true. Leave the thief to his destiny. But you will find a thief, and then you'll start finger pointing at everyone, your family members, your friends. Where will it end? So this is really a very important point. I think this is a sadhana, if you ask me, that in the day, ask yourself at the end of the day, what all did you find fault with?
It's
Whom
a
all
good
did you
thing
find
to
fault
reflect on, absolutely.
Yes. Even you may not say it. You know how we gossip? People get together and they gossip about other people. What gossip goes on in our own minds? Our data and our dialogue, we can really sit back at the end of the day with our chai or whatever it is and ask ourselves, whom all did I find fault with today? Then I realize, my God, what am I doing? What am I really doing? I am an object in creation like the other person. I am judging another object. I am playing God. When I find fault, I am playing God, Nick. The ego does not realize that there's a supreme creator, the one and only, which has created all of us. So where's the question of me finding fault in another?
It was when I read the Sai Gyaneshwari and I understood this aspect of embodiment and karma, that based on one's past prarabdha, one is given a particular type of body to play that karma out. Any species, humans included. And then I realized that the aspect of embodiment, when that happens, it is extremely profound because every human, every person, is just playing out their karma.
Yes.
And this is how they are designed and they are limited by that form.
Correct.
You see, even they are trapped in their own situation, circumstance, but that very body, it's in a way, it's a trap. So all of us are we have our own limitations.
And we are blind to our limitations. We can see it in others. Now, I too am a perfectionist, and I think that's why my guide really liked me with editing his books. One day, I said to him, I said, sometimes I wonder what is the point of being a perfectionist when 95% of the people who read the book will not care whether there is a spelling error or comma is missing. And he gave me the most beautiful reply. He said, firstly, you are not a perfectionist by choice. It is your nature given to you. Secondly, why don't you think you are doing it for the 5%? You see? So the whole perspective changes. So this fault finding, coming back to it, this compulsion to find faults drops away. And in this pointer, which I think is very important to touch upon, where Baba says, be careful when you find faults with the Guru, because then you are criticizing the entire parampara. This is also a very solid piece of advice. Why? Because today there are many Gurus, and there are many Gurus we can find faults with. Because everyone is embodied in personality, Nick. At the end of the day, if I want to find a fault in anyone, I'll be able to find. So this is a word of caution. It is the same thing, only here Baba is saying be even more careful. You don't get along with someone, you deal with it. You don't have to tell 10 people about it.
Eckhart's pointers here, Eckhart Tolle, his pointers are very nice. The pain body in particular, and this one practice he advocated, that if you're in a situation that is uncomfortable, you could do one of three things. If you can, walk out of it. If you cannot, then you have to surrender. Or if you can, change the situation. But then this thing to find fault falls away.
Because then your focus is on the situation. So rather than react unconsciously in your fault-finding attempt, you are focused on what do I do in this given situation.
It's very empowering as well. Rather than giving the power to something outside of you, you are conscious and aware, and if something doesn't resonate, you can change, if possible.
Yes. So that obsession drops away of finding faults. Really, I must say, it is like a pandemic, fault-finding pandemic. And you see, that is what is going on in our own minds. All the people's faults are just rotating in my own mind. I don't realize that. That has become the content of my consciousness. That is what has happened. It's a disservice to myself.